welcome to your reading. This is going to be your new moon forecast for the upcoming new moon in Leo, which happens on the 19th of August. So if you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you are a subscriber, welcome back. In these videos I try to look at the cosmic weather from the point of view of the 3D using a system called geomancy, which is essentially based in the 4 elements. So if you want to know more about geomancy, just have a look in the description box. There's a link to my website, to a page devoted to geomancy, as well as detailing information about the ebook that I've created, which is a how-to guide to geomancy. So anyway, Virgo, let's get into your reading. I've had a small piece of copper sitting on your cards to attract some love and good luck. So let's see what wants to come out. I don't know about you guys, but the first half of August has not exactly been a picnic, with all those oppositions to Mercury, your ruling planet, but luckily those are clearing out, and we should have a better second half to the month, starting with this new moon. I quite like the Sabian symbol for it, actually, which is a new dawn. It gives you that lovely feeling of sunrise, kind of starting fresh, a nice reset, which I think we could all do with. Right, let's cut the cards. This satin casting cloth is a little bit shiny, so okay. Right, interesting. So we begin your reading with Albus, which is Mercury in Gemini. So it's your planet, your ruling planet, but in Gemini, the sign of Gemini. So that's your fellow mutable sign, but it's a sign that you're square to. Now, this is Mercury at its most kind of analytical or cerebral. So it looks as though you are mulling things over. Perhaps you want to make some decisions. Maybe you've got some contracts that you're negotiating. You're trying to use your logical kind of left brain in moving through this particular period. For whatever reason, perhaps because, you know, it's been a little bit emotionally fraught. But let's see what else comes out to see what exactly you are thinking about. Nice. So it looks like home and family life is definitely looking very expansive and abundant. We've got Jupiter in Sagittarius here, so another mutable sign, but a fire sign. So this is Jupiter in its home. And it's all about expansion, acquisition, gain, abundance, basically. So it looks as though, you know, you are enjoying maybe time with extended family if restrictions in your area have been lifted. You may also be thinking about expanding your home, you know, possibly doing an extension, or just feeling lucky or wealthy in the sense of, you know, family being... that sense of support being kind of priceless almost. So when it comes to significant relationships, it does look as though you're coming to the end of some kind of karmic cycle. This is Cauda Draconis, which is the south node, and in the geomancy system it represents endings or exits. So it looks as though somebody has recently exited from your life, or a relationship is coming to an end, or some kind of karmic contract is kind of closing out. Now this is the area of significant one-to-one relationships, so it can be a business partnership, but it can also be a relationship that is governed by a contract, or it can be a marriage or a long-term romantic partnership, or just a significant other, one other person that you've had a long-standing relationship with, and that's very important, you know, in your life. So this is the house of career, success, fame, and fortune, and here we've got Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. So this is Tristia. Now this geomantic figure is essentially about kind of disappointment, sadness, or regret. So there's a sense here that perhaps things haven't worked out when it comes to a particular career avenue, you're having to rethink, possibly due to circumstances beyond your control. You know, I think COVID-19 has put the kibosh on a lot of ways that we do business and the ways that we work, and it does look as though something has kind of come to a grinding halt, and you're feeling a bit disappointed about it. But we'll find out more once I've done the conversion. So I'm just going to pause the video while I do those, and then we can dive deeper into the reading. Hi Virgo, welcome back. As you can see, I have remembered to light the candle, so we at least have all 4 elements working with us. With that said, let's get into your reading in more detail. So as I was saying, we've got Tristia here in your 10th house, but it's also being repeated in your 11th house. So it looks to me as though whatever this issue was to do with career, some kind of disappointment or things not working out, basically, because this is sometimes, it's like the fallen tower almost, this particular card. It's to do with sort of disappointment, things not really working out, etc. It does seem to have to do with some kind of group dynamic. So it could be, for example, that you sell your products at a market, and with the restrictions now on being able to socialize, that's quite difficult. Or it could be that you were in some kind of collaboration, you know, working together as part of a collective, and that has, COVID-19 has put the kibosh on that. Or it could simply be that you you kind of feel a little bit let down as a result of a professional association that was supposed to support you in times of difficulty and hasn't really kind of come up with the goods. But anyway, let's not dwell on that too much, because there's a lot about your reading that is positive. So as I said, we've got this new moon happening in the sign of Leo, and for you that is in your 12th house. So 12th house is all about your psyche, it's your subconscious, it's where we connect to the collective, so it's where we kind of connect to the source of all that is. So it's really about a kind of spiritual connection, where we come from. And here we've got Via, which is all about movement, and it's actually it's repeated a couple of times in your reading. We've got it here in your 6th house of work and health, which is the kind of polar opposite house to the 12th. So I see these as being the axis of body and mind. It's also the place of pets and kind of everyday routines, as well as workplaces and work colleagues. So it seems to me as though, given we've got a new moon here, you've got some kind of fresh start happening, and it may involve some kind of movement. Now, traditionally, Via is about progression. It's also about travel, because this is the road literally in Latin. But being in the 12th house, I kind of think that this is more about a journey of the mind. So it's about perhaps movement or a change of perspective. It could also be about a literal sort of change of mind, or a change of scenery. So maybe you are thinking about setting up your workplace or your office in a different place. Maybe it's time to move office, to sort of think about where you operate from, for example, because Via is highlighted as one of the outcomes of your reading, so it is quite important. And I seem to remember that this came up for you a couple of times before in previous readings. It could have been at that solstice solar eclipse, which of course is a 6-month cycle that will last until around about the end of November. So it is possible that you have some kind of change, either of location or of modus operandi or of perspective in mind, and that this has the potential to bring you a lot of good fortune, because look, we've got Fortuna Major and Fortuna Minor, and both are representative of the Sun in Leo. And of course this new moon happens in the sign of Leo. So it does look as though whatever change you are contemplating has the potential to bring you good fortune, so success, but also sort of greater support from other people, including bosses and higher-ups and those that are in positions of power, and that may rectify the situation here where you're not feeling particularly supported, you know, either by members of the public or by you know, a kind of a professional association. So interestingly, this particular new moon, it involves a conjunction of planets, both the luminaries, so the sun and the moon, but also Mercury, which is your ruling planet. So they will all be in the sign of Leo here in your 12th house. So it seems to be kind of echoing this idea of you thinking and contemplating about things, trying to make some decisions about kind of where to go from here. And perhaps more light can be shed on this in terms of the aspects that are going to be made between the sun, the moon and Mercury, and a couple of planets. So the first one is Mars. So Mars is in the sign of Aries, which for you is the 8th house, and at the time just before this this new moon, and then kind of during it, Mercury and then the sun and the moon will all make a trine to Mars in Aries. So this says to me that it's probably a good idea to think about ways to collaborate with other people, or to sort of shift current agreements so that, particularly when it comes to joint ventures, so that they work more in your favor. Because the 8th house is about shared resources, so it can be where we have, you know, if we're kind of in partnership with somebody, so, you know, this is kind of 7th house stuff, maybe the arrangement isn't really working for you at the moment, and it's time to sort of tear up the agreement and start again. And that could be why we've got Albus in the 1st house, because Albus is literally white, and it can refer to a blank sheet of paper, which for me is often about contracts. So given that we've got the same geomantic symbol in your 7th and your 8th house, which is all about, as I say, endings, the end of karmic contracts, it could well be that you are deciding to terminate a contract or an agreement with a business partner or somebody that you have some kind of contractual arrangement with, and kind of restarting. And this may have something to do with business premises, and also to do with some kind of collective or joint arrangement that affects your career. So I kind of feel as though you are definitely sort of like going back to the drawing board when it comes to how you conduct business. And that this does have the potential to really be quite successful, because of course the trine is a very positive aspect. So I do think that you know, any kind of changes that you make now, any areas that you decide to kind of let go of that aren't sort of working out for you, are going to pay off for you in the long term. So that's the first thing to say. And then as far as other aspects are concerned, the sun and the moon and Mercury will also be making a trine to the nodes. So they'll be making a trine and a sextile. Now the nodes are currently in the signs of Sagittarius and Gemini. So for you, that that kind of falls in, let me see, Sagittarius here, so 4th house for you here, and then Gemini is kind of opposite here in your 10th house. So it's kind of MCIC axis that I think is going to be positively affected by changes that come in from the 2 weeks that are kind of, you know, from the new moon, and then the 2 weeks that follow for the waxing moon cycle. So whatever shifts that this new moon brings in, I think are going to be positive for your career and for your home life. So interesting that we've got Jupiter in Sagittarius here, because this is where the south node is, and it's in Sagittarius, and then here we've got the north node in Gemini. So I kind of feel as though this also is reiterating this energy of Mercury in Gemini here in your 1st house. So I think whatever decisions you do arrive at when it comes to you know, career and home, this kind of work-life balance is definitely going to be kind of sending you off in the right direction. And it's interesting that we've got the 2 south node geomantic figures here in your 7th and your 8th house. So I kind of feel as though you know, whatever you decide to let go of is going to be beneficial to your family and to your home life, and is ultimately going to move you away from this difficult energy, this disappointing energy, and into a much more abundant and successful and expansive space. So that's really good. The other really positive aspect that's happening at this particular new moon is a wonderful sextile between Venus in Cancer and Uranus in Taurus. So Cancer for you falls, where is it? It's here in your 11th house. So Venus is here in your 11th house, and then Taurus for you, I think, is here in your 9th house. So I kind of think that this bodes well for making changes. And it could well be that you're kind of deciding to just sort of stick closer to family for the moment when it comes to who you're kind of socializing with. Venus in Cancer is really about kind of family, clan, about sticking close to home, about being a homebody. And I think that, given that we've got this wonderful energy here in your 4th house of family and home, I think, kind of sticking to home for now is probably going to really pay off in the long run. And then Uranus is all about, as I said, positive changes. So when it comes to things like foreign connections, teaching, spirituality, culture, and the law, I think that there's going to be some positive changes that happen that are going to ultimately, lead to better things. And it could be the rewriting of this contract that seems to be kind of on your mind as we move into the new moon itself. And then closing out your reading, we've got, as I say, Fortuna Major and Fortuna Minor along with Via. So I do feel as though there's going to be movement and momentum. It's not going to feel as stuck as it has in the past, and I think that's going to start with a shift within your consciousness. So setting intentions at this new moon for change to happen, positive change, and that's ultimately going to show up in your reality, probably later in the cycle, as we move into that much more expansive, wonderful, less turbulent cosmic weather that we've got towards the second half of August. So anyway, Virgo, I think the upshot is that things are looking, there is the potential here for things to turn out really positively, for a kind of a change of fortune, basically, and for things to really progress in the right direction. But I think what it's going to require is a change of direction, and I think this is what Via is trying to tell you, is that there needs to be some kind of about turn or shift, and it either has to do with the way that you work, where you work, your mindset, or it has to do with letting go of a particular contract, perhaps with one other person or party, because of this 8th and 9th house energy, 7th and 8th house energy, which, as I said, is linked by trine to this new moon here in your 12th. Or it has to do with shifting your mindset when it comes to overcoming disappointments or setbacks that have to do with your career, and a link to a group dynamic of some kind, a community, or a social media dynamic, for example. But the key emphasis here is on your 12th house. So it really is about a shift of mindset, number one. And I think it's always worth remembering that when you get to Leo season, this is your 12th house season. So this is when a lot of planets are going through your 12th house, and it's almost like the kind of the end of the year for you psychologically. So it's where you're kind of really shifting, sorting through a lot of stuff in your own mind, clearing out the clutter when it comes to your thinking, and more than that, your kind of belief system, because the 12th house is really about those deep-seated subconscious beliefs that can keep us stuck or trip us up when we least expect it. But as I say, overall, a very positive outcome. Fortuna Minor being echoed here in your 3rd house. So I do feel as though support is coming in for you from either close relatives, neighbors, or those in your immediate environment. Or you could be getting a message that it sort of turns into an offer, something that kind of pivots things in a different direction. So yes, I think really positive overall. So I think lots to look forward to, Virgo. Do let me know how this has kind of resonated for you in the comments, and if you've enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you hit the thumbs up button. If you are enjoying these readings, think about subscribing if you haven't already. Just hit that red subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner. It doesn't cost you anything, it's absolutely free. And if you hit the bell, you will be notified when I post a new video, so you won't kind of miss out on that. But anyway, I'm wishing you all the best for the upcoming 2 weeks, and I'll catch you again for my full moon forecast.